Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the On the Clock show with me. It's in Lepage from Blue Chip Prospect and Prospect Don, my good friend. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Things are good. How are you?
I'm very good. It's hockey is back, so it makes me happy. Finally, it was a little bit too long. I always appreciate
Oh
the
yeah.
summer, but it's too long. so, so I'm very happy that hockey is starting back, even though it's just the prospect showcase. And I know that you've been in Minnesota to actually go watch them live and do some interviews and stuff. So that's really cool. Which is the reason why we didn't post anything next week is because
hmm
Mr. Prospect Don is too busy for me. So. How was it over there?
It was good. I got to see like Kyle Davidson in the elevator. I didn't say hi to him. I saw like Campbell. They call him Soupy. So Brian Campbell obviously won multiple Stanley Cups with the Blackhawks, and he said he liked my content and because he followed me while I was there. So I was like, okay, I should go up to him and say hi. I saw like a bunch of prospects. Everybody was there, and then the second game, there wasn't a lot of like superstar prospects that were playing, so they were just like sitting in
Hmm.
the bench talking like right one row above me. So I kind of heard what they were trying to like say and stuff. So it was a cool experience overall. I would say like a couple days before that, on September 3rd, was the like NHLPA rookie showcase as well. And that
Yeah.
was pretty cool seeing like Matthew Schaefer, Zane Perek have those fake mustaches on. I kind of got that clip out.
Yeah.
Uh, I like
I
Ryan
saw it.
Leonard.
It was it was cool.
Yeah, like he was just like I just like turned and looked, and Matthew Schaefer's over me with like a nice mustache. I was like, what is going on? And then you just see like Ryan Leonard interviewing Zeev Boyum with a Slim Jim, and I thought that was hilarious too. It was just like all the guys were having fun. It was low stakes.
Yeah.
They were getting their cards for the NHLPA for like tops and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, that my September's been pretty long, I would say. Tomorrow I'm leaving for 6 days to go to Pittsburgh for the USHL Fall Classic. So, it is definitely hockey season for
Hmm.
most of the major minor like leagues, and I know that NHL is coming around the corner too. So it's always fun when you get head on with as much hockey as you possibly can handle for a couple months.
Yeah. Is are you still going to be that busy after, or it's going to calm down a little bit, and you're going to be watching some NHL, some prospect stuff, and
hmm
is it
Yeah,
calming
like
down?
September was all packed. Like I knew this was going to be a
Yeah.
packed month, a couple months in advance, I would say. But I don't really know what my schedule is going to be for October, November, December. I know the World Juniors is coming up in November. Is
Yeah.
also a event too. Like December is when the World Juniors is, but there's going to be an event in November that I got to go to as well. But yeah, it's going to be pretty busy trying to ramp up for my like draft prospects hockey and things like that. So there's a lot to do, but there's that's why coffee exists, I think, and
Yeah.
some energy drinks. But yeah, things are good. I like being busy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. When you're busy, you're actually like performing. You're doing better when you keep busy every single day. So it's not a bad thing whatsoever. So if we come back to the prospect showcase, you were in Minnesota. You watched the Blackhawks, I guess, since that's your team.
Mhm.
Who did they play against?
So the first game was against the Blues, and
Hmm.
you could just see the talent. Like Otto Stenberg was there. I've like Ivar's brother. He played fantastic. I thought that he was very all over the place on the ice. I would
Yeah.
say Dalibor Dvorsky was somebody that I really was just like keeping an eye on the entire game. So skilled. He was drafted in the first round for a reason. I think that the Blues definitely hit on an NHL player. Like you see some players in that prospect game that are just ahead of
Hmm.
the other people that are playing there. So he was definitely one of those players. The power play was hilarious to watch because it was just all superstar prospects. And even on the Blackhawks side, you had
Yeah.
Oliver Moore, Nick Lardis, who scored 72 goals in the OHL last year, Sam Rinzel and Artem Levshunov, and then you have guys like Ryan Green, who I believe is an NHL player. I think that like
Hmm.
when you look at the both of these teams, they're definitely stacked up well with their prospect pools. Same with the
Yeah.
Minnesota Wild, but I didn't see Bullion play because he didn't play against the Blackhawks, and like Adam Banach was probably the most notable name that I just like fell in love with watching last
Yeah.
year. Then it was really cool to see him play. But with the Blues, they had so many great young talents. I know Snuggerud wasn't playing, but they had some really great players that I was just like, wow, this is a really good team. And it did go into overtime. The Blackhawks ended up winning off of a Nick Lardis incredible draw play with Nick Lardis, Sam Rinzel, and Oliver Moore, who Oliver Moore buried it. So that was cool to see. But other than that, I felt like there was multiple players that just shined above everybody else, and it was because
Mhm.
of just the talent levels. Like Xhekaj was really good too. And yeah, so there was a couple guys that I thought stood out.
So first day was against St. Louis, and the second day was against Minnesota. Is that it?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fun. And Frondell wasn't there. He's back in Sweden, I guess. So he played I think he played a couple days ago, where he played like 11 minutes or something like that. So yeah, so that's fun. In Montreal, bit of the same thing. First day we played against the Winnipeg prospect pool, which was pretty good. I mean, both game we lost. Not that I care about the prospect pool if we lose or win, but some prospect, and especially one, really, really, really stood out. Like, I don't know if you saw any clips, but Ivan Demidov, when he was on the ice, it was something else. He's like so many levels above anybody else on that ice. It's like not even funny. Like there's even a point where he was skating with the puck, protecting the puck, going behind the net, and it was Braden Yeager that was following him. Braden Yeager is not a nobody. He's a like first half of the first round prospect in like 2 years ago, and he just like knocked the puck against the net and then just spin around the way he can spin around, and Braden Yeager went flying. So it was to see Demidov go. It was great. He had 3 points. I think it was 1 goal, 2 assists, but he was every chances created by the Montreal Canadiens was created by him. And on his line, he had Oliver Kapanen, who was almost a point per game player in the SHL last season. So he was capable of at least following the speed, not necessarily finishing the plays, but he did pretty well. And the other guy was Arbor Xhekaj's brother.
Mm-hmm.
So it was I don't remember his first name. It's I don't remember his first name right now. Florian Xhekaj. So it was the guy in his first year last season who had 24 goals in the AHL, and you can see why pretty easily. Like the guy is huge. He just added like 15, 20 pounds, so it's like 6'4", 225, something like that. And he can skate. He has hands. He has vision. He has hands around the net. It's like it was a pretty impressive line when you compare that against the other people on the ice, but Demidov was really a standout, which is why they didn't play him in the second game. There was absolutely no point in doing that because he was, like I said, so many levels above that. At some point, you're just risking an injury to a player that's going to be an important player for the Montreal Canadiens this season. So he didn't play, but it was really, really, really impressive to see him go as opposed to the other player. Is there any player that really, really stood out for yourself in Chicago?
Well, like just what you were saying, I think Ivan Demidov should be the thumbnail of this video with Artem Levshunov because, that's kind of been the talk even throughout the tournament, especially online.
Oh, yeah?
It was Ivan Demidov. You just saw what he was doing. I mean, I was watching the clips. I had Marco D'Amico text me all the time. Like, I mean, it's just like it pains me to see what people are doing to Artem Levshunov because of Demidov. It's not even like Demidov is drafted 3rd or 4th overall. He was drafted 5th. So, like, there are multiple teams that passed on this guy. And obviously, he's going to be a superstar. I truly believe that. I don't see any doubt of which he's not. I think that if he's not, it's just based on his line mates. Like, this guy has all the talent in the world, all the skill. I think he doesn't really have a lot of weaknesses offensively, and that's what you drafted him to be. So when Artem Levshunov is performing incredibly well at these tournaments, but not putting up the point totals that Ivan Demidov is, people see him as a bust. And it's just like kind of getting a little annoying because Artem Levshunov is going to be a top 4 right-handed defenseman. And even if he's not a top paired right-handed defenseman, that's because Sam Rinzel is on a trajectory to being a star. And it's like, you don't pick a high school player in the first round because you think he's going to develop into a star automatically. That just happens. It was basically a mystery box. He ended up working out, and Ivan Demidov was that guy that had that star potential. When I watched him play before his draft year, I saw like, this guy's like 70% chance he's going to be a star. And the 30% chances he just never comes over, or he doesn't translate. I know that, like, we've seen it time and time again where players just don't translate over, or it's like Capo Caco or somebody of that sort. Like even Alexei Lafreniere, it's like they have the skill, they have the potential, but it just doesn't translate. With Ivan Demidov, the skating was a weakness in some scouting reports, and that just was never the case either. I just like think that the Hurricanes, the Hurricanes have it where they draft a bunch of Russians as well, 18 in the last 4 years. The Habs are not afraid to draft Russians. You saw that with Ivan Demidov as well, and I feel like they just got a superstar as well. So maybe it was kind of a Russian factor why he fell to 5, but when you have Artem Levshunov, who's performing at these tournaments, where I thought he was probably the 3rd or 4th best player on the Blackhawks, when he is a year removed from the NHL draft, 4 years removed from Belarus, playing in the BCHL, playing in the NCAA at Michigan State, where he almost put up better numbers than James Hagens. I think that we're kind of talking a little bit too much about Ivan Demidov on the Blackhawks. Like, it obviously didn't happen, but Artem Levchinov is going to be a fantastic player for the Blackhawks. I think he's going to be a fantastic player for the league. When I watched him watch the game, because he didn't play in the second game, he was locked in. I was literally sitting right in front of him. This guy did not take his eyes off of the ice when that whistle was blown to start the period. It was just, he was locked on. This guy lives and breathes hockey. So him in the first game, he was all over the ice. Defensively, he was using his body, which we kind of wanted to see more, because in the AHL he was kind of like erratic a little bit, kind of a little bit like Kevin Korchinski, but not his weaknesses. It was just like Artem Levchinov had the body and had the frame. He just didn't really know how to use it. Offensively, I think Artem Levchinov has a lot more to show. He was like throwing pucks to the net, in my opinion. I think that there was just some things there that he needs to work on a little bit too, like his hockey IQ, just like knowing what to do on the ice. I would say Nick Lardis was phenomenal every time that he shot the puck. If it was like a wrist shot or somebody was setting him up for a slap shot, like he was just fantastic. He got robbed a couple times from a couple of different goalies that were playing in the first and second game. He had an incredible amount of breakaways. I think Oliver Moore, just like every single time he's having a breakaway in a game, like 2 or 3 breakaways a game, he just uses his elite speed and his skating to get past like these players. Obviously, he's not going to be able to do that in the NHL because they're better skaters than they are like in the NHL, but you could tell that he was using his strengths incredibly well. The only knock on him is that he doesn't finish as much, and he needs to increase his production level when he has chances. But, he did do that one time during overtime in the game winner. He has great hands, so he just dangled through the goalie, and the goalie fell and he scored. So it was like, I think that Ryan Green also did phenomenal. I could see him as a 3rd-line center, maybe 4th line. I could see him playing in many roles, but he's probably not going to be a top 6 in the Blackhawks organization. I thought that you could totally see an NHL player. I tweeted that out too. AJ Spellisy, who was a football player, he plays like a football player. That guy can hit so hard. I thought that he is a true power forward in the Blackhawks system, where they kind of lack that. Vanacker was a really great former first-round pick. I thought that he played phenomenal well. Like, there were guys that you could tell that have more of potential to make it to the NHL, and he was one of those guys. Tage Harding, who's like 6'7", had a goal because off of an incredible Sam Rinzel pass. Like, Sam Rinzel was just incredible the entire time. He should not have been on the ice during that showcase, in my opinion, but you could just see like Tage Harding confidence grow each and every game. Both goalies on both sides were phenomenal. I know that Flores had about 42 saves, and I felt like every single one was earned. Minnesota was just attacking the entire game, in my opinion. The ice was a little slanted, but the Blackhawks, when they had the opportunities, they did use their speed to get those chances. But I think that the Blues were the toughest opponent, even though the Wild did win that game, because the Blues just had so many incredible prospects. Like there was like Adam Juracek, like I said, Dalibor Dvorsky was probably one of the best guys on the ice. I think Otto Stenberg is just an NHL player. I think that it's only a matter of time before he turns into a absolute like middle six player for them. So there was a lot of great guys that I saw. It was always cool seeing that. I think I took away more from the Blackhawks prospect when I was in Chicago on Friday, because I went there Friday morning after Michigan, and then you just saw like Connor Bedard playing hockey. He was just incredible. You saw like Martin Misiak was fantastic during all of those practices. I thought that Aiden Thompson, who played for Denver, is just an absolute stud. I think that he's going to be an NHL player. Obviously, size is an issue, but he has the talent to succeed. So those are some of the guys. I think I came out most impressed with Sam Rinzel, but you kind of already, if I didn't, I would have been a little worried. But yeah.
But at the same time, the prospect showcase is not necessarily a place to scout the player. Like the players that are really ready for the NHL or ready for top 4 or top 6 roles are pretty evident when you look at the game overall. Like like you see, probably Sam Rinzel, that's probably the way he was playing. Same thing for Demidov. It's just like they stand out as compared to the other ones. But to come back on your Levshunov thing, that people that are down on him and comparing to Demidov, there's going to be a transition at some point where they're going to go from hating on him to looking at everything through rose-colored glasses. Like we went through that transition in Montreal where everybody was mad we got Reinbacher like when we could have taken Mishkov, and then Mishkov is a superstar in the making, and Reinbacher is probably like a second pair steady defenseman that won't put like He's not a 50-point type of guy, right? He's probably like a 30, maybe 40 in his prime, something like that. But that's not his game. He joins the rush. He does a couple of good things offensively, but his main game is defending, being heavy, playing with his stick, locking players to the outside, and having a great first pass. And also he can fly on the ice. He's a very good skater for his size at 6'3", but he's not an impressive player, but it's an important piece to have on your team if you want to win in the future. If you don't have a heavy, physical, very good defensively right shot defenseman, you're in trouble anyway. You're not going to win without it. So you need it. So like, I understand why the Montreal Canadiens passed on Mishkov, but Reinbacher is never going to be the level of Mishkov. So I think it's a little bit the same thing for, Levshunov. It's that he's a very, very important piece of the puzzle. Probably Chicago had no clue that Rinzel was going to be Rinzel, so they couldn't take that bet, right? So they took Levshunov, and he's probably never going to be what Demidov is going to be, but at the same time, he's going to be a major piece for Chicago to go in the playoff and win eventually when it's time to put it all together and compete. So it sucks at the time of doing that big, and it sucks when you see other player like we just watched Mishkov do 60-something points and dominate offensively last season, and Reinbacher was basically injured all season. He played like 20 games and he was good, but he was not an impressive player whatsoever. So like, it feels bad as a fan, but you have to understand the reason why it's like that. So, yeah. And talking about Reinbacher in the prospect showcase, he was like, he was okay. He's not like, he wasn't bad. He wasn't great. He joined a few rush, did a couple nice passes there. He skated through the neutral zone well. Good first pass, good defensively, apart from like one goal where he got walked by Yoder in Winnipeg, where he just like he went through Reinbacher like it was nothing. But it's just Reinbacher had to cover almost half the ice to close the gap because he was way too far from the player, and then he just like skipped over his stick and then he scored. So he looked bad on that, but outside of that, I think he was strong on players, was strong along the board. He was good with his stick. He was very good defensively, just not consistent enough to the level of being an NHL player right now, or at least not a top 4 NHL player right now. So I think the best thing for him would probably be to go back to the AHL, or like maybe playing on the third pair in Montreal, but I would give him time in DHL. I don't think he's ready for the NHL right now, but we'll see. Is there any players that are not like big names, like not first round, like Oliver Moore or Sam Rinzel or stuff like that, or Ryan Green, which was I think a second round pick? Is there any players that weren't big names that stood out in Chicago?
Yeah, so I just wanted to check my phone because I did get to talk to David Reinbacher before. Just a little quick story. Like I asked him who he wanted to play like and who he modeled his game after, and he said like a player like Roman Yossi, and I feel like that's a really good one. But not for him, but obviously a good player to model your game after. I, but I think the one thing to talk on about the Michkov, Demidov, like Levshunov, Reinbacher thing, because Michkov had 3 years left on his deal, and we didn't even know what was going to happen with that. He didn't interview with multiple teams. He definitely had his sights set on at least one or two landing spots. I don't know if it was only the Flyers, but it was a couple of different landing spots, I think. I thought it was going to be to Capitals or the Habs or something of that sort, but you never really know what was
It's
said.
not the Capitals, that's for sure. One of their Russian scouts said that he was the worst interview he ever had in his life.
Wow.
So I don't think it is that.
Interesting. Well, to answer your question about like some players that were like not high draft picks, maybe under the radar picks, I would say, like Aiden Thompson at the 3rd round pick. I know that he's still a 3rd round pick, but like Tage Harding was really good. The goalie that the Blackhawks brought, who they just acquired, was really good. And I think I drove next to him because somebody's parents, it was a Blackhawks license plate and it said GOL and then space E, like goalie, like on my way home from driving. Who was that goalie? Because they used 2 different goalies, but it was the goalie in the first game, and he played phenomenally. And I know that he was not a high pick. I just remember him like saving so many incredible saves. It was Stanislav Bereznyov. Yeah, I said that really correctly. He was phenomenal. I thought that he was just like I said, stopping everything he had. I would say another player was Martin Misiak. He obviously a 2nd round pick, but he kind of has gone down a lot on the totem pole. The thing about the Blackhawks is if you look at the roster here, it was 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round.
Yeah, like there's so much
picks.
of it.
Like there were so many picks there, and I think a lot of guys go under the radar when you have that many top 3 picks. I couldn't even think of a standout like AJ Spellacy, who was a 3rd or 4th round pick, but he was very, very high in either one of those rounds. So like he played phenomenal. Like Vanacker, who's probably the Blackhawks like maybe in the top 10 for the Blackhawks prospect pool, but is probably like 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that range. He was a 1st round pick, but he played absolutely phenomenal. But the thing is, the Blackhawks just have like 15 or 16 incredible prospects that you have to talk about. And that's not even with Frank Nazar, Connor Bedard. Like the U25 of this roster is absolutely nuts with Alex Vlasic coming along. I think that they just have so many guys. So that's a really tough question. Like even like Ryan Green played phenomenal. Like he showed that he's an NHL player, but again, he was a 2nd round pick. So it's like there's so many 2nd round picks. I thought Adam Guyan should have been there because he is just like falling off from being the 35th overall pick in 2023 to now like nobody even thinking he's going to be anything. The Blackhawks just signed Spencer Knight to a nice 3-year extension. It should have been a little more term. I think that Guyan and Drew Comesso have to be a little happy about the term there because you knew he was going to sign, but you didn't think it was going to be for 3 years. I thought it was going to be for 4, 5, 6 based on how the salary cap is going to increase.
And he's UFA at the end of it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Because he's now like 24 years old or something like that almost. So
yeah. So, with the salary cap increasing, you're going to want to sign that guy or move him within 1 year left on his contract, maybe like 0.5. And at that point, the Blackhawks might be in contention. So, in contention for a playoff spot. But So like, what's going to happen with that? So I think overall it was a good weekend for Guyan and Comesso, even though they didn't play. I think that it showed that the goalie system is absolutely incredible for the Blackhawks. So just like there were so many names. Yeah, Tage Harding was great. You can tell that Parker Holmes kind of had a tougher weekend. Ashton Cumby was on the ice a lot. He, but you can see the talent in both of those guys. Very, very big guys. I think that those are two guys that have potential as NHLers, but it would probably be more of like, on fringe roster spots. So those are some guys that I thought were interesting.
For Montreal, it's outside of, like I said, Demidov and stuff like that. It's definitely Florian Xhekaj. Like everybody knew that he was good because he scored a lot in his first pro season, like I said earlier. But I don't think people knew how good. Like he's not just a banger. Obviously, he has some Xhekaj blood in his blood, so he's just hitting everything and he's super aggressive. But I don't think people knew that he was capable of making plays the way he make plays too. Like he's not just a shooter. He's not just a guy around the net. He's not a slow player. He's not just a banger. He can actually do a little bit of everything. It's not high end or anything like that, but it's very easy to see him on your fourth line. It's also like almost easy to see him on your third line or maybe even middle six. I would never say that he's a top six type of player. Like not even complimentary, but I think like he could be a third line guy that can move up if we need to because of an injury or something like that. And that brings something different. A guy that has some offensive skills, but also like crazy physicality. Also Owen Protz, a guy that I really like, that I ranked high in my Habs prospect pool for 2 years now. He's just a physical beast. The guy's like 6 foot or 6'1", but he knocks people that are 6'7". Like I don't remember what's the name of the guy in Kieran Walton. That's a guy in Winnipeg. It's like a 6th-round pick that has like 92 points in the OHL last season, and he's 6'6" or 6'7", 200 something pound, and Owen Protz just went through him, sent him flying. he was all over the ice physically, and defensively it was okay. He doesn't have much like in terms of playmaking and making plays and creating offense for other player, creating space. He's just like basically a physical defenseman. That's what he's going to be, but he was really, really good in that role. Really stood out because of his big hits. Like in 2 games, he came out with like 3 or 4 like giant hits, giant. So that was cool. In terms of goalies, obviously Fowler was by far our best goalie. Like basically in the first game, Fowler had 0 goals against, and then Vekvanags came in the net, and I think they scored 4 in a period and a half. so it's like the drop between Fowler and Vekvanags was pretty significant. And the same thing after that in the second game, it was Fowler to start, and then after that it was our new goalie that we drafted this year. It's the Russian guy that's going to play in Blainville. I don't remember what his name is, but anyway, it's another. He was better than Vekvanags, but still it was a pretty significant drop. Like Fowler is so calm, so good at moving, so good at reading the ice, even when there's players in front of him. Like you can see that guy as NHL starter written all over him. So that's good for the future. And outside of that, like there are some players like Owen Beck, which is a 33rd overall pick. So it's like the first pick in the second round, and you would expect a little bit more. It's a guy that has a lot of speed, plays with intensity, and not necessarily the biggest one, though. It's like 6'1", almost 200 pounds, something like that. But so he plays with intensity and some physicality, but he doesn't have much creativity in his game. So he's going to be a complementary type of player, mostly defensive. And it looked like that in the tournament. Like he didn't look like he was creating much out there. So, and that's the song for a lot of players in Montreal. Like once you take off Demidov, the offensive creativity is turned down to 0. Like Kapanen is not bad. Xhekaj did a couple good plays, but like you could see on the ice when you remove Demidov, like there's nothing left. Like all our offense is in Demidov and Michael Hage, which wasn't there, and Jarovsky was injured in Russia. So the rest of it, like the Owen Becks of this world and the Meshar of this world, like they're intensity player that don't do much. So yeah, that was good. Is there if you have to choose one player in all of the player that you've seen for Chicago, which one is the one that stood out the most, the one that was the best, that you can see like a very good future for him?
Well, like besides Rinzel and Levshunov, because you could just like those two players were just well above
No, but
everybody
your
else.
best player. My question is basically your best player. Like, who was the best player for Chicago?
Sam Rinzel, I
Yeah.
think, was just offensively everywhere, and as a 6'5" defenseman, right-handed, he just has so much potential. Like I don't think he's probably going to be in that Calder race because the Blackhawks aren't going to score as much. But you have a guy that if he was on like the Leafs, he would be getting Calder like hype in my opinion. If he was on the Habs, like say you
It's not
switch out
impossible though.
like yeah. Well, like say you switch out Reinbacher and Sam Rinzel, I think Sam Rinzel would get some of the most hype in hockey right now, just because
Mm.
like the Blackhawks market is pretty big for Chicago, but there's like zero hype in all of Chicago sports. I think Chicago sports have really taken a hit more than any market because like we have so much hype on our teams and then just nothing happens. Like the Bears had the most hype coming out of any team we've had in years.
Yeah.
They're 0-2 now and their defense just let up 51 points last week. So like in football, it's there's no hype anymore for any Chicago sports. I think when you talk about teams that are in the playoff race, like the Blackhawks are going to be in the McKenna race again. They're probably going to be in the Landon DuPont race if that's who is the number one pick. Like I don't really see them going up until you have guys like Frondell really taking their next steps too, because there's just so many young players on this team. I know that every team is going to continue to try to get better, but it's like so hard for the Blackhawks when the salary cap is only going to continue to increase, because that usually helps teams that are like rebuilding teams a little bit so that you can take salary cap and you can kind of weaponize your salary cap, or like good teams lose bad play or really good players so bad teams can try to get them with salary cap. Like you're seeing the salary cap rising now, so it's so much harder. So, yeah, to answer your question, like Sam Rinzel.
Sam Rinzel will be that player. All right, cool. And now it's I'm guessing that the development camp, or not the development camp, the training camp is starting in Chicago right now. Same thing as in Montreal.
It's going to start in a couple days. I'm going to already be in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to miss the first couple days. I'm going to try to reach out after I get back, like the 23rd. I might take some time off, honestly. I know training camp is there, but I'm going to the Rockford Ice Hogs main event on the 29th as well. So I'm going to start doing some coverage over there for them, and I want to do more coverage on the USHL. And like I'll be making my announcement soon on the company that I acquired, but there is just a lot going on. So I feel like the Blackhawks are going to have their training camp, and you can follow guys like Ben Pope, who does fantastic work at Chicago Sun-Times, or like Chris Powers from The Athletic, or Scott Powers from The Athletic. Sorry, I always get him mixed up with Chris Powers from Empty Netters Pod. But yeah, there's a ton of great people you could follow. So yeah, I'm probably not going to do coverage for the first couple of days of training camp.
All right. Well, that is it for today. We just wanted to do a quick one after the rookie showcase. We didn't have time to do much more than that today. But we're going to get back together again in a couple of days and do our division and rookie prospect or prospect pool ranking, basically. And yeah, I guess that's it. Take the time to like, take the time to subscribe, take the time to go see Prospect Don on Twitter and on his YouTube and have all the highlights and the interviews that he does. And any last word?
Follower questions. Let us know what you guys want us to do. We will be dropping, rankings, mock drafts, things like that over on this podcast as we always do. We're going to probably ramp that up, sooner into the season, I think, because it's so hard. Nothing really has happened at this point of time, but follower questions are very important. So definitely comment down below what we should be doing, and we might do it.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, my people. Peace.